Good evening or good morning from wherever you are. Global Familia, welcome to Cheddar Dogs episode to carry the 126, I think. Um, anyway,
Minus one.
who cares what episode we're on? The point is, here's another very good episode
Exactly.
coming, and we've got our homeboy Bandit back again, who's going to talk about
Bandit.
uh, vitality prognostic notices. The VPN.
Uh,
I probably got
uh,
that all muddled up, and I apologize for that. But PD, introduce our guest, and let's get to what real VPN really stands for and what it really does for all of us out there. Over to you.
oh, easy. What's happening? Bandit is back to showcase us more interesting things and to obviously discuss VPNs. And no, Weezy, it doesn't stand for what you
I,
think it stands for.
I
I'm not
tried.
even
I
going to
tried.
go there. It
Oh yeah,
stands for
please.
Virtual Private Network,
Okay.
VPN,
Okay.
Virtual Private. And for those of you who still don't understand, don't worry. It took me a while as well. But Bandit will jump into it and give us the lowdown of what this is all about. Bandit, welcome and over to you.
Hey, P Dog. Hey, Oeasy. Thanks for having me back again. I think I should start getting a dental plan now that I'm on this show.
I think so.
Anyway, yeah, thanks for having me back. And yes, VPNs, interesting topic. A lot of people obviously are asking about VPNs or wanting to use VPNs. And yeah, VPNs isn't a new concept, right? It's existed for quite a while. I mean, far back in the 80s, of course, people didn't really use them from a residential or domestic purpose, but I mean, mainly businesses. But the concept remains the same. It comes in different variants for different purposes. We can discuss some of those use cases. And yeah, and see why do you want VPN? Is VPNs meant for you? And we'll discuss, what it does, what the pros and cons are, and then you can make the decision yourself, right? So yeah, let's jump into it.
Awesome. Interesting.
Okay. For sure.
So this time around, I present a little slide deck. Don't get too happy. It's not a much, but I mean it's just something to sort of talk towards, some talking
That's
points.
awesome.
But I mean, yes, VPNs, virtual private networks. All right. So key
You
thing
got
there
that,
being,
Oeasy?
I do. I do now.
Okay,
I
okay.
didn't. I
Cool.
didn't before.
yeah. So just to touch on one of the key words there, the private, the P in VPN. The private obviously infers security, right? That it's whatever is traversing this VPN is purely between the client and the server, right? So it's in a typical VPN situation, it's a user talking to a server, and it's a secure tunnel, right? Nobody can peek in. When in the old days on the PABX telephones, you'd run wires and you get crosstalk where you could pick up what the other
Yes,
people
yes.
were talking about. Yeah,
I
but that
remember
was
that.
the science, right? That was, I think, Fleming's right then, or whatever, where you induce the current. Anyway, the same thing, right? So I mean, it wasn't very hard for someone to run their own set of cables and pick up crosstalk, and then you can listen into conversations. So VPN sort of is a way to mitigate that from happening on the internet, right? So how do you get from point A to point B securely?
Tell me, Bandits, um, are they easy to hack, or can hackers get through to you via VPNs? What I'm trying to say is, do you recommend a VPN? Let me put it that way. In terms of so from a security aspect.
So I would first ask you what the use case is, right? So I mean, it's there for a purpose. What do you want to use a VPN for? Um, yes, I would recommend it in certain scenarios. Other scenarios, maybe not. I mean, VPNs does mask your identity, so it gives you some level of anonymity on the internet. Some cases that might be a bad thing. You might be wanting to do that for malicious reasons. So, yeah, there's other use cases where you might want to use it to circumvent geofencing, right? Where you are limited to maybe streaming content, within your country, and as soon as you go overseas, they realize, this IP address belongs to that particular continent or country, and you're not allowed. So I think a lot of people use VPNs for that reason, right? It's I want to watch Netflix US, or I want to watch Netflix UK. It's funny because the catalogs on offer between the same company, right? But what you can view on the different Netflixes is actually different. Like you'll find there's a different set of movies and a different set of TV shows on Netflix. So yes, I understand the reason why people want to do that. And I mean, it's not for me to say whether that's right or wrong. I mean, you do what you want to do, but I mean, VPNs is a way to facilitate that. It doesn't guarantee it. A lot of people think, I install a VPN, I'm now part of the US, or I'm now part of that country. Yeah, since the more and the more people start to use these sort of things, it helps. The providers become, they wisen up and they start to put other controls in place, that can stop you from accessing the content. So the IP address isn't the only thing they look at when they allow content. So yes, VPNs can help, but it's not a safe guarantee, right? So I'll just put that out there.
Another question, Bandit. Now, obviously, they advertise everywhere. VPNs, on Google everywhere. ExpressVPN, Surfshark, Nordic, just to mention a few, advertising everywhere. And then I read in a newspaper article that some guy in China got fined $2 million because he used a VPN. So is it legal? Is it illegal? I would think it's legal for it to be advertised so openly, but why would the guy, is it because maybe it's illegal in a specific country that's why he got nailed the $2 million?
Yeah. A good question.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think the China's different, right? We'll put them in a separate box because a lot of content is filtered in China. I don't even think you can use Google in China. I think you use something else. So yeah, a lot of people in China do use VPNs as a way out to access, social sites and stuff where otherwise they're filtered and prohibited by the government, as a mandate.
Yes.
So
yes.
The VPNs themselves aren't illegal, right? What they do is in somewhat simple. It can get complicated, but what you then do with a VPN, right, is that would be questioned as to legal or not, right? So, it's like saying the knife is legal, right? What you do with a knife determines what it's legal or not.
I'm with you.
But yeah, so for the most part, the companies you mentioned that do advertise, they are safe. There's some things you need to know and understand about VPNs before you just jump on board and sign up, and we'll talk through some of those things.
Okay, cool.
In my slide deck, and just stop me and ask questions if you want. Otherwise, I just ramble on. So there's a few kinds of VPNs, right? There's not just one type of VPN. There's maybe 4 or 5, and I'm only going to talk about 2 because I think those are the 2 that's most relevant to the audience in this forum. So the first one being a personal VPN, and that's what you spoke about, right? The ExpressVPN, Nord, the CyberGhost, all those ones, right? And they utilize different protocols for the VPN. Doesn't matter who they are. Each of them are using one or more of these ways, right? So PPTP is common. It's known as point-to-point tunneling protocol. It's something that Windows uses out of the box. It's not widely used, but it is there, and it's an option if you bought a standard Windows PC and you wanted to establish a VPN between you and your friend. It's there as an option. There's also L2DP, which is layer 2 tunneling protocol. Again, these are very technical terms, but they send you protocols. It's the engine that drives the VPN. It's how it works, right? OpenVPN is free. It's open source, and it's enterprise grade security for VPN. And then there's WireGuard and Tailscale, which are a lot faster, more economic VPNs because in a VPN, you need to understand this concept of tunneling, right? That you are connecting from point A to point B, but you're also sending all your internet traffic through that tunnel. So when you reach the end of the tunnel, that now becomes your new starting point for accessing the internet. So you're actually going to slow down your connection by quite a lot. There's this term called latency that a lot of people use, especially gamers. Your latency goes up quite considerably because essentially the traffic has to go all the way to that point first, and then it goes out to the internet.
Rerouted.
Yeah. So that's the reason why, right? The second type of VPN is remote access VPN, and this is more for the people who do like work from home. It's where organization offers you the means to connect to your workplace in a secure manner, right? They'll give you a client piece of software that runs on your machine. You'll click it. You'll maybe put in a credentials, or you'll use your access card or something that says you are you. Most of them use multi-factor authentication now, so there'll be an app on your phone that you accept and you type a number in, and then that gives you access to your corporate environment, right? Almost like you were sitting at your desk, being there. And then
is that like your AnyDesk in your team viewers and those type of applications?
Yeah, they're more specific to the organization because
to the organization, okay.
Yeah, vendor specific, right? So specific. So if your company went with a Cisco solution, there'd most likely be the Cisco AnyConnect client that you would use, or there'd be a Big 5 one or something similar. So those typically have are quite secure. There's a lot that goes into it. So the company can ensure that the data that you exchange between your machine and them outside of the internal network is always done in a secure manner. So those are the protocols at play, and you'll see OpenVPN operates in all of them, right? And it's widely used. ExpressVPN uses OpenVPN as an option. They use WireGuard as well. I use WireGuard at my house. If I'm remote and I want to be able to connect into my home, I'll do it via VPN other than exposing. So there's this notion, right, that if you want to access a service within your internal network at home, let's say it's a webcam, right? You have a security camera. You want to quickly check up on it. Now, what you would typically need to do is you need to expose that webcam on the internet, right, through a port. And only you would know what that port is, and you would have some credentials to it. Right now, it's on the public internet. Anyone can access it. So that's not a very safe way, right, because it means anybody can probe. And so what you could do is just leave your camera in the internal network and just use a VPN to connect to your home and view your camera in that way. That way, only you can securely access it, or those with the client can access the camera, and you prevent a whole lot of, you sort of mitigate a whole bunch of risk just from doing that. So those are the only. So these are the two main sort of VPNs that most people would use. The one typically being just for connecting to external sites, like we spoke about for the geo fencing issues, or simply wanting to search Google in America, right? Like, I mean, if you open up Google, it's typically going to route you to .co.za, right? And for me, .com.au. So, but I mean, if you VPN to the US and you connected somewhere in Texas or wherever, and you typed in Google, it's going to take you to google.com, right? And you're going to search for stuff that's relevant to that area.
Just to that area, yeah.
Just like I mentioned in my previous thing, your location is given to Google, so they know a lot about you already, right? So just keep that in mind. So those are the types of VPNs. So let's look at what it looks like when you use a VPN, right? So typically you are the end user sitting at your table with your desktop, your laptop, and this is what I spoke about, the tunnel, right? So the line that connects you to the internet and to the VPN, the laptop here basically substitutes a VPN server, but this is a secure channel between you and the server and then out to the internet. So any prying eyes, being the government or hackers or even your service provider. Remember, when you get an internet service, your service provider provides you with an IP address and a DNS server. Now that doesn't mean much to a lot of people, but the DNS server is what converts an IP address to a name and a name to an IP address. So if I control a DNS server and you type in google.com, I can make that go back to whatever I want, right? Because I own the DNS server. So why should you be worried? Some cases, some sort of providers monitor DNS queries, right? So they know your browsing habits, right? They could see, this IP address browsers, blah, 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 blah. They could keep records of it. They could order. I don't know, right? It's the provider. So
Bandit, is that when you like on Google or on certain websites where it'll ads pop up showing, and I'm like, but wait, I actually looked at that ad like a while back, like why is it popping up in ads now on my browser? Is it because of the DNS picking up where you've gone before, what have you searched before, that type of thing?
For ads, there's different ways of picking that data up through cookies and histories that you may have accepted or whatever. The job of the DNS is purely to convert a name to an IP address, and it's done again in a very secure manner where a DNS gets its forwarding information of another master DNS and so forth up the hierarchy. So Google's name will always resolve to the same IP address, or at least for the most part, or like SARS website would always resolve to the same. Now nobody knows what SARS IP address is, right? They just type in sars.co.za and then they get to it. But it's the DNS server's job to take that name and resolve it to the IP address, so it knows how to get the traffic from A to B.
Okay.
So
interesting.
Yeah. So some providers and even some VPN providers, right? Because remember, in a VPN scenario, your VPN server is now becoming your temporary provider, right? They're saying, okay, you have an internet connection. I'm now your new server. I'm going to give you a new IP address and a new DNS server, and that's how you're going to get out to the internet. So according to the internet now, you're resolving against a different set of IPs and DNS. So you appear to be in a totally different location as to where you actually are, which is what some people want, right? So even some VPN providers do audit that data, and who knows, they could sell it because it's another revenue stream. But yeah, just be careful about sort of the no-name dodgy ones you've never heard of. Always look at reputable VPN providers, so you don't ever get into a bad situation. So I mean, it's pretty simple, right? You create the secure tunnel between you and the VPN server, and then that routes you out to the internet. So the actual provider makes it very simple when they give you just a piece of software and a file, and they say install this, copy this file, or put this information in, and then click start or go, and then boom, you connect. In the old days, there was a lot more configuration involved. Now, the most important part of the VPN is the security behind it. And again, there's different types of security. I'm going to discuss one, which is SSL. And I guess most people would be partly familiar with this because if you've browsed to any website, Google being one of them, you'll see the little padlock come up in the browser. That's meaningful. You should always make sure you see a padlock if you can, because that means it's a trusted site. But that security works off the exchanges of keys to encrypt and decrypt data. So typically with SSL security, you have, again, a client and a server. The server issues the client with a public key that's capable of, encrypting and decrypting the data. So only you and the server have that particular key. So it just sort of explains how the security aspect works of a VPN, because all VPNs have security. That's typically why you would use it. So again, just simplified diagram showing you what's happening behind the curtains when you do use a VPN and how it actually authenticates and secures the connection. Why would you want to use a VPN? All right, so we discussed the anonymity part, right? So there's online privacy. So we're creating a layer on top of your existing internet connection that's essentially protecting your actual IP address, right? You're getting a new one. You appear as a different person online, right? That's something you may want. Then yes, this is going to give you that. The geo-shifting thing, so we all know, right? A lot of us want to access content beyond the bounds of our country. Most providers like Netflix, Hulu, HBO block that because of commercial reasons, and circumvent that, people use VPNs, right? So that's one way to go about doing it, is using a VPN. Although the guys are starting to wisen up now, Netflix especially. Especially guys who share accounts. They'll see, here's one IP address in the US, and there's another one back in Zimbabwe. What's going on here? We'll steal them both, So yeah,
true.
Yeah, so they're looking at more than just the IP address and how people use the service. Obviously, they're a company, they want to make money, so they don't want people sharing accounts and they're losing revenue. And then of course the security aspect, which is probably the most important part of a VPN, is really providing you with a secure means of accessing your destination, right? And that could be an internet content provider, or it could be your company's file server or web server, right? And you can do that on a public Wi-Fi. You can go to McDonald's and get free Wi-Fi and still access the information in a very secure manner. That's what VPNs allows us to do. So yes, very big tick in the security box.
Okay.
All right. So what are the cons of VPNs? Obviously, there's the cost factor, right? Now,
there's a cost. Yeah.
Now, I mean, you've probably seen over the years, the prices have come down quite considerably. A lot of VPN providers charge a subscription fee. It's quite negligible, in the scheme of things. I mean, the cost isn't that much. But there is a cost involved because, I mean, they do need to maintain the service. So bear that in mind. If you do find a free VPN provider, 10 to 1, it's not going to be a very good experience. I mentioned early on, things are going to get slow, so you'll get higher latency. So if you are trying to VPN to the US and then trying to do a WebEx or video call, it ain't going to work, right? You're going to get massive buffering issues and that sort of thing. So if you're using a VPN for that purpose, use it solely for that purpose, right? Don't funnel all your internet traffic through the VPN. That's not really the intent. So, and when I say that, I mean like you leave the thing running and then go back to your normal BAU activities, right? Like accessing your bank account and stuff. So just be mindful of that. And then again, so I said the whole blocking thing is not guaranteed. And yes, people are wising up and they're figuring out other ways to block it. So if your sole purpose is to get around the geofencing stuff, that might work for now, but, it might not work in a couple of months when the guys introduce updates and better ways of detecting and targeting the people trying to use these methods. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Overall, VPNs are a very good way of, securely communicating with other providers and other people, and it does have a place. Just use it wisely, as with anything, and you should be fine.
And like you're saying, Bandit, I think it's do your homework. As a VPN user myself, I had to I subscribed to 3 different VPNs before I found the right one. Whereas I should have just done some homework to see which one would be most effective for what I wanted. And for my purpose, it was the geofencing. We wanted to see what certain US content and do some, watch the streaming there. So for me, I learned my lesson learned was that I should have done more research. But at the end of the day, do that. Look at your VPN, see what they can offer you. What in terms, especially for what you want. I think that's important, and then make the decision from there on. Don't be stupid like me and just subscribe for the sake of it, and hoping that that just because cheaper is better just because it's cheaper doesn't mean it's better. And I learned the hard way, so I think it's important that
I
that
mean,
you do
a lot of the
your homework
guys
first.
sort of do offer like a 7-day sort of trial period, right? That you can use and take advantage of. And that might be a good thing, right? Just to get a look and feel of their service.
But try to get your money back. That's the problem.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? Bear in mind, it's another third entity partner that you're giving credit card credentials to, right? Do you trust them? That sort of thing. But I mean, there's no use you use a VPN to get content overseas, and the thing is so bloody slow you can't watch it, right?
Exactly. And I've seen that as well.
So look around, try the free trials that they offer, test and see what it's like, and if you like it, go with a reputable one. I mean, if you just need to Google the list, and the top 10 that come up are the pretty good ones to go for. Avoid any free ones or ones that you think aren't good. Things that end up in Russia are never good. So
please. No, so I agree 100% there. Do your homework, and VPNs are amazing. I mean, once you figure out how it works, it took me a week to figure it out. Many sleepless nights, but I've finally figured out what a VPN is. Easy. And I had to, I did a bit of, I had to go on that journey and see exactly how effective these are, and it's amazing, amazing the technology, amazing what's actually out there and how it serves its purpose. So for me, it was an eye opener. And Owizi, I think I can see you excited on your side. It looks like you're going to be doing some homework yourself.
Well, PD, look, I think, once again, technology doing its thing, taking the ball and running away with it, Unfortunately, on my side, I have yet to encounter such a need or such a place for it. But, whenever you mention the word security and securing something, you've got my attention, because in today's day and age, as we've seen in the previous episodes, crackers, hackers, and jackers, and all these things, So definitely a place for it in today's world, and something to look into. One can never be too safe these days. But as with all technology, and as Bandit also said, there's always the crackdown that's coming. How long will it still be valid for or applied before they start closing these loopholes? I suppose that's for anybody's debate, and we can debate that around the barbecue or at the pub or wherever. We just don't know. But I think that the point of today's episode is very, very, it's trending at the moment, and it's very relevant to the audience out there. So guys and girls, if you are interested in VPNs, this is the channel to check out, or the episode to check out. Familiarize yourself. We're going to drop Bandit's details in the Dropbox below as well. Again, get in touch with him, hook him up, and you hook yourself up, and he'll hook you up, and we'll all be hooked up. And we'll all be safer, better, stronger together.
Bandit's VPN.
That's what it's all about. Chatterdogs, once again, bringing you the professionals from the field, on the ground, laying it down.
Hundreds. Couldn't have said it better myself. Bandit, you're a legend. Thanks so much for that informative session. And I think you said you wanted to also, in one of the up and coming episodes, you wanted to also just give a bit of a demo of how the VPN works. So that's quite exciting to look, and something to look forward to as well.
Yeah, so much like I did the demo for the live hack that we did back then, I sort of thought, it'd be a good idea to show, the VPN, right? What it means when you're on the VPN, you do a different country. What is your browsing experience like? And that sort of thing. Give people an idea of, how it's going to make a change. Show them the speed difference, and then that sort of thing, helps give them a better understanding.
I think that's brilliant because being able to see it visually in action and how it works will obviously enlighten and the burden of trying to understand everything, the theory side of it, to see the practical and how it works, will obviously gain a lot more traction. Hey, Oweezy, I'm sure even on your side.
Absolutely. Seeing is believing, and if you want to believe, you got to see. So yes, we look forward to that episode, Bandit, where, another live demo will definitely be more insightful and provide a lot of in-depth information for us. Please do stay in touch.
Oh, we'll do.
That's it from me. I'm all VPN'd out. So over to you, Oweezy. End it for us.
Well, I think PD a little bit over my head as well, and way above my pay grade. But I think that journey you start with VPN, I need to start it as well, and maybe I'll probably take 3 weeks. But it's all good as long as we've got the pros here laying it down. I don't think we will have a problem. But Bandits, any last words before you sign out? And once again, thank you for gracing us with your presence.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks again for having me, guys. I appreciate it. Always good to have a chat with you guys. Give some knowledge to people.
Always good having you on board, Bandit. You're on our side, and we're very grateful for that. Trust me. Absolutely. I think Oweezy is also super grateful because he's going to be calling you a lot for help these days.
And guys, as mentioned before, Bandits now healsit.net. Please visit his website, check him out, show him love. He shows us a lot of love. We love him, he loves us, and we love you. So let's keep that love flowing.
So much love
and
flowing.
like to the channel. We appreciate it as well. But I think that concludes today's episode. And then this is Bandit, PD, and Oweezy saying peace out, guys, and take it easy until the next one. Sayonara.
Sayonara. Cheerio. Bye.
3, 2, 1.